Frankie, I don't think God can even help you with your Jerry Judy bags, buddy. But thanks for listening to me anyway. Morning, folks. I am by myself for now, but we've got a beautiful 10-game slate. A lot of top QBs are off the slate. We got cheap running back value for the first time in a long time. Really old school fill-in vibes. Trey's ready to go -1. I think this is a good slate where chalk is condensing as always. In less than stellar spots. GM, we'll start a quarterback where Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow are in fairly good spots. GM, folks, where I think that the cash game quarterback is going to be Stafford, Burrow, maybe Gardner Minshew. Like I said, Hurts is still on this slate, but Lamar is off. Lamar's playing right now. Mahomes is off, and Josh Allen are off. So that makes quarterback pricing really interesting here. Stafford and Burrow in the 6K ranges with fairly good matchup. Stafford at home against Arizona, the 27 total. He's not he's projecting slightly better. He saves $200 and 0.1 less than Burrow on ETR's projections. So people are going there. I am personally in cash for now, trying to find the 200 for Burrow. I do think maybe I'm being a little too game log worried, but I think Burrow has access to a ceiling that Stafford just hasn't shown in many years, even though his pass catchers are, quite good. And at 27 totals, Stafford, I was plugging it in. If Stafford goes for 303, that's 27 points. Obviously 27 points would be very good at 6,100, but his 303 odds are like 4.5, 5 to 1 on FanDuel. So I don't know. I'm not super worried that Stafford has access to a ceiling, whereas I think Burrow can put things away, and I'm likely to play Chase. I'd rather just lean in on the Burrow Chase thing. Not so fast, TD. I think we got slightly more than 9, and I can't keep up with the chat. But if you guys keep trying to fuck me up, I'm sure you'll succeed. So yeah, that's my Stafford versus Burrow thing. I think both are in pretty reasonable matchups. Seattle, past defense has been shaky when they're not playing Daniel Jones and the New York Football Giants. So I'm currently leaning into there. Trevor Lawrence, again, like quarterback ownership is not really going to decide a bunch of things. Trevor Lawrence is going to be chalky. His matchup is pretty decent too, but I think part of his chalk, and it's really hard in the Sims, it was really hard to build, super high ROI Lawrence lineups because his pass catchers are all owned, as is, the popular bring back of Josh Down. So I just cautioned that. But we'll get into that with the game. As far as, I don't know if I would say off the wall, but other quarterbacks that I'm interested in, Tua and Fields. Tua obviously 31 total, relatively low owned. I think you can sneak, Tua in there. I like Thielen as a bring back. I like Jalen Waddle. Tyreek is okay, obviously. So I think Tua, went with the top handful of QBs in the league, not on here. Like Tua, is probably QB2 here. Justin Fields, it's a great matchup against the Vikings. There's a little bit of wind caution there, but Fields gets so much on the ground. Anyway, I think he has access to a good game either via the pass or the ground. He's done it, 2 weeks in a row, and the ownership, like the price tag is pretty fine. It's the same that it has been, and his ownership is still pretty low. So if I'm going up, I like those. Jalen Hurts as well, 5%. Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, the top 2 corners for the Jets, are out. Plus, I'll be in attendance. So I'll probably want some sweat equity. And then all the way in the dumpster, Gardner Minshew, partial cover boy for today. Jacksonville defense has been, fairly bend, don't break, even though they have broken a couple of times. Again, Minshew's not really huge access to a ceiling, but the good thing with Minshew, or perhaps bad, depends on what level you want to get to, is, you feel fairly confident about who to stack him with as far as downs and, I guess Pittman, if you want to pay more. But for me, I'm really, it is more GPP than cash. I'd rather just find $1,000 and $1,300 for Burrow or Stafford than Minshew. But I think, it's a fine game environment. And then other guys, like, I think Desmond Ridder, I have to scroll all the way down for Desmond Ridder. I think this 13-point projection is just wrong. If Desmond Ridder still hasn't lost a game at home since high school or something like that, maybe I was lied to by Twitter, but I'm going to go with it. Yeah, I like Desmond Ridder against, a very, very beatable Washington football team at home in the dome, etc. So yeah, like primarily I'm going to be playing Burrow in cash. Median, I think it's mean, but like, I don't know. I'm just going to IKB and play some Ridder, but we'll get into that. At running back, again, like, this is how many guys? 12, 11 guys that are all in, like, the first tier or very strong tier of value. Raheem Mostert, obviously, all the way up at the top with Devon Achane out in a 31 total. So obviously, like, Mostert is a must play in cash, and even running sims, I'm getting above the field on Mostert too, even at 30%. Maybe that's because it wants me to play, more off the wall stacks, but I think you can very easily play Mostert into chalk and feel okay with it. Then going down, Chuba Hubbard and Dante Foreman, 4,300, 4,400, that their projection, like, it's $100 difference. Their projections are, 0.4 different. Unless Foreman gets steamed, like, I think people have been on Hubbard for longer and more excited about it and feel less threatened by, his backfield mates. So I'm personally thinking that Hubbard is going to come in higher owned, and I'd like to play a lower owned Foreman, but I'm fine playing either. I don't know that I want to show up playing both. Does it make sense if I say someone you play will give you the blade, aka suck, or does it only work when you don't play someone? I think of the blade as I'm fading Jamar Chase and he has 50 points and I got the blade. I think it's only like if you fade someone that does well in GM. So yeah, that's my thoughts on, like, the cheaper tier. But then there's, like, a whole bunch of these 6K guys. And by the way, David Montgomery as my second best value, and ETR second best value, is the lowest owned of all of these value bunch, with the exception of DeAndre Swift. So let me put it this way. I think David Montgomery's, prop for 100 and a touchdown is pretty much the best on the slate. And I think his 2 touchdown prop is all the way up there as well. With Gibbs out, he's got the back, like, he's got a real path to 25 plus touches. In the Tampa Bay run defense, I could think it's, at this point, lazy, stale analysis to say that, like, this Tampa Bay run defense is good. It's not been this year. So, it is a road game, but they are road favorites. I do like Tampa, and we'll get into that. But I think that this game, can go over this 42.5 total, and David Montgomery is likely to be a big reason why. Travis Etienne's a guy that I, almost never play. He was on the Thursday night game last week where he had 39 points. So I'm thankful for that, because I would have faded him last week, I'm sure. And, he got almost 40 points. So yeah, he's just like an archetype that I don't love. He has been catching a few more passes. I think he caught 4 or 5 balls last week. You look at that, but yeah, he's just not had, these monster ceilings outside of last week. Let's see, who does the Christmas fairy bring to us? One Davis Maddox. Good morning.
Got my coffee, got my outdoor time, my Andrew Huberman mandated early morning sunshine while I'm sitting here waiting for Keaton Mitchell to score a touchdown.
Yeah, plus 950. Let's get the Keaton Mitchell in. Yeah, Starbucks line. Did you get the Al Smizzle approved venti
No, the oat milk.
pumpkin, vanilla,
Fucking
whatever.
no. I go to a local place
There you
here
go.
in the burbs where they know my dog and she gets treats. It's a very GTO setup.
Nice. Yeah, so I was just talking about running backs. Obviously, feel good about Mostert. I think I feel a little better about Hubbard than Foreman, but happy to play Foreman if he's lower owned. Talking
Well,
about
that's sort of
Montgomery and
what
ETN, but yeah,
I think Hubbard versus Foreman is pretty interesting because I think the assumption is, oh, regardless of the score line, Hubbard's getting in there. Foreman's going to have way more touchdown equity than Hubbard, but that game is like the weather's pretty bad. It's going to be windy. It's a fucking Chicago game in October.
yeah,
I'm wondering if actually the market is kind of underrating Foreman a little bit because
I,
this could
I,
be
I agree.
it could be a Kyron Williams situation where he like literally is not subbing off. Like we get to the end of the game and we're reading Yankee tweets and we're like, this dude just played 96% of the snaps. He came off twice when he got tired for Kari Blossom game to come in and block. Because best I can tell, they are going to have 3 active running backs, one being Darrington Evans and then the other one being Boston Game, the fullback.
Yeah,
Homer's not active. The Homer
correct.
thing being out, I think, is like sneaky pretty big for Foreman.
Yeah, Foreman got 3 targets while playing partial reps in that week 1 game. Obviously, he's been inactive since, but Foreman didn't catch many passes in the past, but he was like legit. I don't know if I would say legit good, but like
he went through a stretch.
He was diet Derrick Henry for the Panthers last year.
And for the literal Titans. It was literal diet Derrick Henry for the literal Tennessee Titans. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm more excited. I'm actually more excited about Dante Foreman's path to a ceiling. I think he can get 100 yards and score once or twice. Hubbard's path to ceiling, I don't know. I feel like people are playing Hubbard to get, to catch passes and like crap. I don't know. I think I like Foreman's path to ceiling a little better. I agree.
I mean, Sanders had a game with 9 targets, I think 2 weeks ago. So that's basically what people are anticipating which is like, it feels like a thin path to a ceiling because nothing about it is like expecting efficiency. You're actually expecting the opposite. You think the team will stink. They're going to get blown out. And so I get like 14 floor points from Chuba Hubbard.
Dude, I think there's also, we're going off the rails, but I think that there's actually a legit LaVisca risk here as well, where he got 5 carries last week.
And he was getting
like from the backfield.
He was getting short yardage stuff, even when in week 1, remember they had that 4th and 1 and they handed it to him. Like it's pretty real, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, what are your thoughts? ETN at 7,100 versus Montgomery at 73. Are you into either of them in cash, or are you just trying to not?
No, I'm pretty into either one of those guys over Josh Jacobs in cash, and probably over Kyron.
Yeah,
Kyron's the one where it feels bad.
Yeah, Kyron obviously has the lion's share of the backfield, but that obviously is going to continue to matter less as Cooper Kupp returns. Where I will say Kyron on DraftKings has the best anytime touchdown prop on the slate at -210. So again, like if you get 10 or 12 points without the touchdown, then he scores. You're looking at 18, and he's at 6,500. But yeah, I'm not super thrilled about it. Obviously,
how many times do the Rams get to the 1 yard line? That's how many times Kyron will score. Dude's not scoring from 23 yards out.
Panthers beats think that Blackshear gets receiving work.
There's no
hot hand too. Yeah,
there's no chance that is true. There's no chance Raheem Blackshear is coming in to play third downs, like none.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. Do you like anything off the wall at running back? Like can I talk you into DeAndre Swift?
Well, yeah, for sure.
Maybe I think that off the wall. Breece Hall.
Not off the wall. Feels like Bijan's getting kind of lost in the mix with Montgomery, ETN, Josh Jacobs. Like it feels like we're looking at an 8% Bijan slate, maybe.
Yeah, like Montgomery 7,300 in I like him, but it's not a stellar matchup. ETN at 7,100, and then you get first round pick Bijan Robinson at 7,200 right between. against the Washington football team, and people don't want to play him because he's only scored once so far, right?
Yeah, I think no, twice.
Or twice, but both on the air and through the air.
Yeah,
I like the Bijan call too.
and it just feels like, look, I like David Montgomery as much as the next guy, but I mean, we've had a lot of opportunities for David Montgomery to be $7,300, and he is like pretty routinely not gotten there for that price.
Yeah,
I guess, and the other thing is St. Brown is back this week. I mean, he's kind of clearly what they build their offense around. Not saying that Montgomery shouldn't get 20 or so points or whatever, but I don't know if his touchdown equity is as high when St. Brown is healthy.
well, people forget that St. Brown went down at the 118 times last season.
More, I think, actually. I think 45 times was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
direct correlation there. But I mean, shit, I don't know. Maybe it happens again. I think Montgomery's a good play. I don't know if he's a very good play at like 23% owned.
I agree. Last thing I want to touch on at running back, or two things. One, CMC at 9,500 all the way up at 7% owned versus Tyreek, at 9,300 is going to be 20% and Cooper Kupp is going to be 20%. Could I talk you into paying all the way up for CMC?
You could talk me into it because if you're gaming it out, the weather's shitty. Brock Purdy, not necessarily. Brock Purdy is just Jared Goff, right? If we're really thinking about it, the way it would make sense to score against a defense as good as Cleveland would be a lot of runs, a lot of short passes, a lot of screens. Don't put Purdy in a position to make mistakes.
Yeah.
So, and I mean,
the only way they lose is if they make mistakes.
Yes, correct. And we keep getting worried about, they're going to rest CMC. They're not going to give him as much work. And just like we are a month and a half into the season, and we have no evidence they're actually going to do that, right? Like literally none.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Mitchell, maybe like he's been out. He returned to practice, but yeah, I guess that might matter. I also want to sell myself on Alexander Madison. He sucks. He continues to lose work, but it's the Bears. And I feel like if he comes out and runs downhill like 3 or 4 times to start, they might keep him in as long as he doesn't fumble. So I think, it seems to be becoming like a 60-40, 70-30 backfield. But if he gets the first few touches and he doesn't botch it, I think that, it's a really good matchup. He's 5,600. He's going to be 3 to 5% owned.
I think it's like the same thing as the Arizona guys where if DeMarcado is looking really good to start, he's going to get a bunch. And if Keontae Ingram rips off a 19-yarder and like pops some linebacker in the chest and knocks him over, he's going to get more work. I think it's going to be the same things. But on the converse, if Akers comes in, short yardage spot, 3rd and 2, rips off a 9-yarder and is like dragging a defender with him, he's going to get more the rest of the way.
Yeah. All right, so talk about receiver real quick. Jamar Chase, like the two guys that I'm locking into cash are Chase and Christian Kirk. Yeah. Hollywood Brown actually is starting to project just as well, or maybe even slightly better than Kirk. Pretty much the same price. Wide receiver 3, like it's a conversation between Josh Downs or like paying all the way up for Tyreek, or maybe it's one of these Minnesota guys. I also kind of want to play Thielen, but I think I'm on Thielen Island. It seems at 5,900, paying all-time high for Thielen with a 16-point total feels bad.
Yeah, with a 16-point team total in a spot. I mean,
yeah,
he has played garbage time. But there's no like that you can't be certain of that, right? Like if they're down by 20 in the fourth quarter, is he going to be in there? Like I guess we can't say with 100% certainty, and that's not good.
Yeah. Do you feel better about Tyreek or Kupp on this slate? In not in cash. I'm not super interested in either. If I can get my way up there, I will. But
I tried a lot of different ways to make the Tyreek and cash thing work without having to sacrifice a running back. So like playing Drew Ogletree at tight end, playing the Buccaneers defense,
Yeah.
None of it really worked. I will say I'm just going to break any tiebreaker this year for the Dolphins player.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think that's GTO.
I agree. Though I think, in games like this, Tyreek has more and more of like sit the fourth quarter risk. He's also done this weird one-on, one-off thing, and I don't know if I'm like reading too much into, accidental box scores where he's gone 47, then 15, 34, 10, 35. So again, it might be nothing, but I've been really buying this squeaky wheel thing, and I wonder if Tyreek's belly is full, and they might not.
They threw the ball to Jalen Waddle 4 times in the end zone last week. Like I don't even know if it's a squeaky wheel. I feel like it's just a Mike McDaniel wants all his dogs to eat type thing, and he really would like Jalen Waddle to have a big game.
I think that Miami can very well play with their food for, 75% of their schedule, with the exception of, the 4 or 5 serious teams that still exist in the NFL, and the Panthers are definitely not one of those.
No, I mean, and the other thing about Tyreek is that the reason why I wouldn't be scared of playing him is that he kind of is his own garbage time creator. In the sense of it's like NBA DFS where it's like, oh, I don't want to play LeBron when he's a 13-point favorite, and then you're like, oh, dude scored 65 points in 3 quarters. Like, a Tyree, for all intents and purposes, a 76-yard Tyree touchdown is kind of like a defensive touchdown where it flips it so quickly to garbage time.
Yeah, yep, that makes sense. Talking about Minnesota guys, because I thought early in the week people would be super excited about Addison 5,700, Osborne 4,400, and now it seems everyone just like comfortable clicking Josh Downs instead, which is probably fine with Minshew, but yeah, they're relatively low owned.
Addison seems like a jam because you could say that Addison's like his true talent level, if we were doing it that way, could be like a $7,000 player or something.
Eventually,
like a Devonta Smith or whatever. So you're getting a pretty big discount based on that. And then I guess the reason why people aren't playing him is the weather. But then there's also just like we don't know what the Vikings offense is going to look like without and my guess is it's probably going to look pretty fucking bad. It's probably going to be a lot of short throws. A lot of 3rd and 7s with 2 tight ends on the field, a lot of first down runs. If you think about it, okay, I'm watching a Vikings game. They can't do anything. They're fumbling. Kirk looks overwhelmed. Justin Jefferson makes a hero play, and they get 33 yards. Well, you take those hero plays out, and you just have a team that's punting a lot. Yeah,
I was going to say you substitute first downs for punts a lot, I mean, there's still like 23 total is not awful there. So, but yeah, that's also why I'm kind of into Madison more is I think, people are trying to say, Justin Jefferson and his 120 yards go and they get displaced to these, receivers where I say like, hey, you take like 40 yards out, like those yards are gone. And then I would actually sprinkle some to like freaking Josh Oliver and in the running game. So yeah. Then a tight end, Evan Ingram has like actually gotten like an insane amount of targets, and I hate to say it, but he's like probably cheap at 4,500. It's just a matter of like how often does he kill you?
I mean, all the Cabal bros have Evan Ingram as a cash game lock.
Yeah, I mean, if you use any projection system at all, like you are going to get Evan Ingram. We are all
if you use the blitz, you're getting kind of shits.
Yeah. Okay. The blitz, I mean, if they showed the PFPs and I saw the blitz in the lobby, I'd be taking all of their games because I don't know, it's not a serious product today, but I digress. But yeah, Evan Ingram at 4,500, like he's going to project in, but like I keep trying to not build him in.
I probably won't have any of him, I would think.
Yeah, at 20% owned, just miss me with that. I don't care about the targets.
We just have learned enough about how tight end works this year. Has the chalk tight end hit once? I literally has a tight end been 15% owned in the SPY or the Millie Maker or anything? Like, no chance.
Yeah. Speaking of tight ends, thoughts on Stroud, Collins, Schultz. So I'll talk Schultz quick. Is that he's at 3,600 and he's like, the third best value on the slate, and no one is talking about him. It's just a game environment against the Saints where I didn't even know who they were playing. Like, I've not spent any time looking at that game. 10 targets last week, and obviously Tank Dell is out. You could be playing for like an offense that looks okay and might be more concentrated than normal, but I don't know that the game environment is optimal for a stack. What do you think?
So the game environment, I mean, it's one of those where I think it kind of depends who scores first. If the Texans get a 9-minute, 15-second drive with 8 Dameon Pierce carries and a 1-yard tush push CJ Stroud touchdown, like, he's dust. He's getting 3 targets.
Yeah.
If Rashid Shaheed threads the needle for us and scores an 83-yard touchdown and then immediately rolls his ankle, you're probably going to want multiple Texans. Yeah. I'm like, the Saints defense is good, but CJ Stroud is kind of in that category to me of like, I don't really care who he's playing. If I can get 40 pass attempts from him, like, one of his guys is probably going to end up optimal. The issue is I think they're going to rotate guys a shit ton today because they took Noah Brown, designated for return IR.
Yeah.
And then they had some of these, national beat writers saying that Xavier Hutchinson is going to get a chance to play today. So we might be talking about like a 7 pass catcher rotation on a team that might throw 31 passes. And like, I just prefer Pitts at that point. Hawkinson actually feels like the most secret play at tight end. Where it's like,
I think that's
no one really wants to play him, and then he just shows up with 13 targets here.
Yep. No, I think he is the likeliest guy to benefit. Like, obviously, like Addison and Osborne go up the most comparative to baseline, but I think in terms of like absolute ceiling, I think it's definitely still Hawkinson. It's just at 6,600. It's just nobody's clicking it. Same thing for like Laporta, 5,600. Like, he popped up with this calf. Like, you're going to sneak, Laporta at 3% past the field. I don't know that I'm going completely there. And then George Kittle is 5K at one, like, legitimately 1%.
Even Kittle at 1%. I think
that's Kittle fits the Lamar mold for me, where you just blind fire, doesn't matter the price when he's at 1%.
Sure.
But I
guess that's true.
Is Kyle Pitts, because like, man, I've been off Kyle Pitts for so long. I feel bad like buying him after his one good game in the past year and a half.
His one 14-point game of the year.
Yeah. So playing that into ownership feels bad, but I actually, like, in a weird way, and this probably is so ass backwards, I'm more eager to play him in cash, where I think tight end floor doesn't matter and tight end ceiling, if it happens, matters. Whereas in GPP, I don't want to play chalk Kyle Pitts, but I'm okay playing him in cash, where I think every now and then he just has a game which separates from the Logan Thomas, Zach Ertz's of the world. But I don't think it comes often enough.
I think that's
to play it in GPP.
I think that's basically right. Although I would tell you that if you play Irv Smith Jr. instead of Jonnu Smith and you get 0 points instead of 11 points, that is a spot that can end up mattering to your cash game lineups, just from experience.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
If you do play the wrong one between Pitts and Logan Thomas, and Logan Thomas gets 15 and Kyle Pitts gets 4, you're losing like a tight end DST 2v2 by like a touchdown, and that's not a fun spot to be in.
Yeah. So I'll man, I don't want to click Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is, it's Ertz and Mixon are the ones that anybody who, like, all the overthinkers that, are swapping rake and like, down 5 to 50%. We just don't even care that they exist. And then all the sharps, slowly taking our money playing Mixon and Zach Ertz's, median games.
I mean, Mixon just cannot, like, this. We got to glue shed this dude. Like, he had 4 cracks from the 1-yard line last week against the fucking Cardinals and couldn't get in the box. Like, and now they have Higgins back. I mean, I just think that the Bengals' ultimate destiny as a team is just turning into the Chiefs, where you're just hucking it 44 times a game. You
Yeah.
know, I don't think it makes any sense given the guys they have on offense to try and be a power running team, and that's what Zach Taylor has always kind of tried to make them be. But also, it's like they can't. Like last week, they could fuck around a little bit with the Mixon stuff and give Mixon 28 touches. They got no margin for fuck around here. Like if they lose, if they have a losing record going into their bye week, what the fuck are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to win a Super Bowl. Like, you can't be fucking around giving Joe Mixon 2.8 yards per carry.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go through like games now. Washington is at Atlanta, 42.5 total is fairly middling for the slate. Everyone here is going to be very low owned without the exception of those tight ends. I have sold myself on wanting to play Desmond Ridder at home at, no ownership. And I think Drake London sneakily has, I don't know if I would call it a floor. And I don't think floor really matters, but like Drake London actually has,
Like
he just doesn't score, but like Drake London is getting 40, 50, 60 yards like fairly often. It's just a matter of time before they like take advantage of a good matchup, which I think Washington, we've seen them on national TV already. Is a good matchup.
Yeah, Drake London is this week's DJ Moore.
Yeah. So I'm like all into Drake London at 4,800 with Desmond Ridder, and I'm fine playing it with, obviously with Kyle Pitts as well. Do you like this game at all, or?
No. I just feels very thin. Feels like both teams want to run quite a bit. And I know everyone's everyone's so enthused about Ridder after that comeback win against the Texans, but I don't know. Like, I'd just rather play Minshew if I'm not.
Yeah.
Because the stacks are so clear, the bringbacks are so clear.
Yeah.
Ownership doesn't get outrageous on quarterbacks anyway.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And then Bijan, we talked about at 7,200. He's going to be pretty low owned. Vikings are at the Bears, 43.5. Some wind there. I guess, if people are scared off by the wind, I haven't seen this, the total move early in the week, but not really much.
No, people are scared by the wind, and
yeah,
I think that makes Fields, DJ Moore, Hawkinson, Addison type stuff. I wouldn't play Kirk because I feel if this game goes nuts, Fields ends up being the guy.
Yeah, but they're the same price.
To me, it's really not going to be surprising if a 5-man stack from this game wins the Millie Maker.
Yeah, I like Fields. I think 6,500 for DJ Moore. Whatever. I'd rather just play Komet if we're just throwing our hands up and saying, I don't know which tight end gets me 8 points. Komet, when Fields gets there, the R squared of Komet and Fields is among the highest in the whole league.
Yeah, it's very high.
I was looking at. Just because Fields only throws so many touchdowns and Komet's got the lion's share of that, so I think he can actually separate from the field in a 4,600. I think that's reasonable, only with Fields. And then you could bring it back with obviously Addison Osborne. Are you into Powell at all? Are you?
I would not play KJ Osborne at all. I think KJ Osborne just stinks shit. So I would play Powell ahead of Osborne.
Do they Osborne? Osborne was out there ahead of Addison all year. Is my only thing. And Powell's a guy that you think is a second-year player. He's been in the NFL.
No, he's been there for 8 years.
Yeah.
That is 100% accurate. But Powell is minimum. Yeah. KJ Osborne is more expensive than some other wide receivers I actually kind of like.
Like Downs.
And I feel it's pretty binary. Either Powell is a really good play because they're playing a ton of 11 personnel like they normally do, or he's just a shit play because Josh Oliver's playing 65% of the snaps.
Yep.
But the risk reward tilts towards you playing some Powell at 3K, I think.
Yeah, no, and at 4% owned, I think it's fine. And I think we both like Dante Foreman more than the field.
Yes.
And I'm on Madison Island a little bit there, probably just as a one-off, not with anything else.
Yeah, I'm not with that. Feels too thin on a really good running back slate.
Yeah. Seattle, Cincinnati, 45 totals, third best on the slate. Jamar Chase going to be owned, as is Burrow. ETR is lying to me and saying Mixon is owned, but apparently every week, people show up and click Joe Mixon's name
every week. My from the balls call is that JSN gets double-digit PPR points for the first time this week.
Yeah. Did you see DK Metcalf's quote about him?
No, it can't be good.
No, it was good. I don't know how fast I'll be able to pull it up, but basically he was saying it's only a matter of we were just on bye. It's only a matter of time before this guy has 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
DK was also banged up in a practice all week coming off the bye for whatever that's worth. He didn't practice at all on Thursday.
DK said it's only a matter of time until JSN goes for 100 yards and scored 2 or 3 touchdowns. That's just who he is. So I don't know.
So DK Metcalf is in the best ball cabal, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, at 3,600. No, I don't know. Maybe in the
my gold star play. My gold star play was going to be Trey Palmer. If Mike Evans didn't play, I think my gold star is going to be JSN.
Oh boy, I don't know if Alex is still here. He asked for your gold star and 1 high owned fade. I don't know if he stuck around long enough to get JSN out of you.
High owned fade in tournaments is going to be Josh Jacobs. It's going to be 22% or whatever. I'll show up with none of him.
Yeah. War says DK meant that JSN is going to have 100 yards on the season.
I mean, that would, I think at this point,
he's not there yet.
It would require about 70 catches for him to get to 100 yards.
Yeah. I don't want to get too into game logs, but JSN has 12 catches for 65, so he's got 18 DraftKings points on the season so far.
He has the lowest ADOT and the lowest yards per catch of any player in the NFL.
Yeah, but it's the bye, or coming off the bye. Could I talk you into T Higgins at 6,400 and 0% owned? No.
If I was a reasonable person, yeah, but I just fucking hate T Higgins.
Yeah. And I also love Ken Walker. He's going to be low single digits, 6,700. He's the guy where his price doesn't matter. He's either going to get if he doesn't score, he's going to go for 80 yards and not score, and it's it doesn't matter what his price was, or he's going to get 102 touchdowns or 152 touchdowns. That's
my being serious gold star play is Ken Walker.
Yeah. Yep. San Fran Cleveland is a 36 total only. I guess maybe there's some win there / PJ Walker. People apparently in ETR are paying $4K for the 49ers defense.
They're just doing Downs 49ers defense over Hollywood Brown 3K defense versus what we have.
Yeah.
Which feels that actually feels perfectly reasonable to me.
Yeah, it's okay. I am too much of a boomer to click it's just against every fiber of my being to click a defense at 4K, but also on the road, West Coast team traveling to play 1 p.m. in fucking Cleveland. I don't know. I suppose
my anecdotal
everywhere, but
my anecdotal experience is that when these really expensive defenses get pumped in cash, you normally end up getting the blade, not playing them. I remember when the Seahawks used to have 6-7 years ago, when the Seahawks defense used to be unbelievable. There were a couple times where they were up against a backup quarterback, every Nathan Peterman start,
Yeah.
And I remember just being I'm too sharp. I'm gonna play. Yeah, I'm gonna play the $2,400 Commanders defense against whoever, and just getting, just losing 1v1s by 18 points or whatever.
Yeah. So we talked the CMC thing. I think it's very fine at his ownership. Ayuk and Debo are 62, 6,100. Again, they're likely not going to have to be used a bunch, but at 3% owned.
Debo would be the one I could talk myself into, where Shanahan has this whole short passing reverses, don't let Purdy get exposed to the elements thing. set up, and Debo gets 8 touches, all 6 yards from the line of scrimmage, but he burst 2 long ones.
Yeah. Also, if I want to like put on my fancy boy hat, apparently Cleveland plays a bunch of man, and Ayuk's their man beater.
I don't believe these stats at all. Those are my least favorite stats in the world.
Yeah, those do feel like something that someone has a thesis and then they just found something to support it. It's like you like, Ayuk as a route runner, which is fair, but yeah, I think good guys get open. Doesn't matter what the defense is playing.
And it's just like at that stage of granularity, I just don't know what you're learning.
Yeah. Saints are at Houston. Saints are actually favored, which is relatively surprising. I guess Vegas still is not really.
Yeah, they shouldn't be though. That was my gold star betting play of the week. My number one play was Texans home dogs to Derek Carr.
Yeah. So 42.5 total is not great, but in the dome, Kamara we didn't even talk about. Like he's gotten an insane amount of touches, not really done anything with them, but still scoring fantasy points because
he gets
point per reception is a stupid format that we continue to play.
I like Kamara. You could, I think, correlate like Robert Woods playing the slot with Chris Olave if this game randomly happens to get paced up. And then sort of interesting, Dameon Pierce's snaps stayed the same last week. Like Singletary was still rotating in, but he didn't get a carry. They didn't hand Devin Singletary the ball once. So I think about a month into the season, they realized like Devin Singletary has literally negative juice. We can't play Dameon Pierce every snap because he's not there yet, but we don't need to waste the ball giving Singletary carries anymore. So I think the absolute ceiling on Pierce has been raised.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the last 2 games, 26 and 21 touches. Granted, he's been very jaggy. I don't know if it's his fault.
He almost won them. He almost won them the game last week. He got 40 yards. He got 40 yards on their last drive, setting up.
Yeah,
but they scored too quick. You can't give Desmond Ridder 90 seconds.
Yeah, apparently not. But yeah, 5,100. I think Dameon Pierce is fairly reasonable. Nico at 56. I thought, if it was a better matchup, people would be sprinting to play Nico Collins.
I mean, all Nico does is toss up. All Nico does is toss up 30 burgers, and he like never gets owned.
Yeah. I mean, he if you want to get into stupid stuff, he alternates literally 30 points, then 5, 39, then 6. So he's due.
So this is his week.
Yeah. I will say, not a Nico Collins specific thing, but just one macro lineup building thing where if you're like planning to show up with like total stars and scrubs, you're like, all right, give me Chuba Hubbard, Foreman, and Josh Downs, and then I could pay up for all the expensive guys. You're going to lose because someone is going to hit a 9-way parlay playing all the 5 to 6K guys because those guys actually have ceilings. And Nico Collins is going to score as much as Tyreek Hill. Not necessarily Nico Collins, but someone.
But Debo or Garrett Wilson or
that's why
Adam Thielen.
The absolute ceiling on your lineup going total stars and scrubs is lower. You feel better about it, but it is lower.
It's actually like a way shittier way to build.
Yeah. It's really hard to get away from for us mid IQs, but yeah. Indy Jacksonville 44 total is half decent here. Davis Rugby, he's back.
I had to check the Ravens Titans score, and I did not like what I saw.
We are both teams have kicked field goals from like inside the 10. I legitimately think all 3 field goals were kicked like with 4th and 2 with like inside of the 15-yard line.
I don't love that. The only so this game is really good for a game stack. I think either quarterback, double stack them. I think you want to bring back here, but I mean, if they just internally have decided, Zach Moss, thank you for your service. You were a wonderful servant to the team, but we just paid Jonathan Taylor $42 million. This will be a good spot to get ahead of it.
Nelson Aguilar and Odell are leading. Yeah. Calvin Ridley, I was surprised. I mean, him and Christian Kirk, I understand. So Christian Kirk, we got who's 13 on the Ravens? Why he's So fast.
That's
Is that Aguilar?
Aguilar.
No.
Yeah.
I heard Aguilar is 15. No, it's Duvernay, I think.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, on a punt return, inside like the 15. So that'll lead to Gus Edwards running into his center's ass and then a field goal. But anyway,
has Keaton Mitchell subbed in yet?
I don't believe so. No.
Damn.
Maybe we'll get refunds if he doesn't play. But yeah, actually, like, so Christian Kirk and Ridley's props and like everything, like they're all the same. But if you like close your eyes, and I understand he's more expensive, but to get Calvin Ridley at half the ownership of Christian Kirk, I think Ridley's absolute ceiling, and I was off him for most of the season. Like, I think the absolute ceiling on Ridley, if you're playing a stack, I'd rather just play with Ridley.
My main GBP team right now is Minshew, Pittman, Ogletree, Ridley.
Why Ogletree over Granson? Or
he ran more routes last week, and I got deep into the weeds, and Ogletree is a Colts fan favorite, and the coaches are like what's the name? Steichen. He singled Ogletree out in the media availability or whatever to be like he's a fucking dog in the run blocking game. So anytime a coach is praising a rookie tight end as a run blocker, it means he really likes him.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't think either of us are super into Evan Ingram as chalk.
I am not, no.
Yeah, and I think Christian Kirk going to be jammed. I think he comes preloaded. Jammed. He comes preloaded into cash lineups, and then he's it's a comfortable game with Josh Downs. I think playing the Christian Kirk Josh Downs mini, I don't know. I think it's like probably a slightly minus EV thing, just relative to how often you're going to run into it, but whatever. It's fine.
It is fine. I mean, I'm not overly enthused about it.
Yeah, now, I'd rather just like play the stack than
correct
play the mini that everyone else is playing.
Like, I think there's a good chance the optimal quarterback comes from this game. Either way, Minshew or Lawrence.
Yeah. Or says he's betting Ogletree under 0.5 fantasy points, and that's fine.
Have fun staying poor.
Yeah,
he's had multiple targets in every game, and he had 3 for 48 and a touchdown last week with Minshew.
There you go.
I like some of these min tight ends are like you're just like Michael Mayer would be an example of pure wish casting, but yeah. I like legit think Ogletree is a play.
Sometimes your wish does get cast, though.
That's true. Now, Carolina, Miami.
Yeah.
Obviously, Carolina gets blown out here 90% of the time or whatever.
Yeah.
But Bryce Young will have one game this year where we're like, oh, that's why Carolina traded all that shit for him. I don't think it'll happen here. But him having 303 in this spot, this just being the game where he decides that he's him, that would have the biggest impacts for fantasy because, that raises Tyreek's projection, that raises Waddle's projection, that raises Mostert's projection, all that shit.
Yeah, I'm not interested in Bryce, but I am interested in Bryce having a good game for everyone else's sake. I think, like, Thielen, obviously this year, like, 13 targets, 8 targets, 14, 9 targets. He if this game is competitive, he's going to get targets. If it's not competitive and he doesn't get hurt, he's going to get targets. And I think you're actually going to like. I'd like to play Thielen with this game and also like away from it, where you could argue he's actually like an amazing one-off. Where if he's still in there in garbage time, it's actually bad for all the Dolphins projections because Mike White is in there handing off to Chris Brooks or whatever. Yeah. My gold star, around these parts, we call it the fuck around and find out. Jonathan Mingo at 3,500. He, like, at some point, and I just spent all this time talking about Thielen and his target share. At some point, like, Jonathan Mingo is going to have to send, LaVisca and DJ Chark to the shadow realm. And he's
I think he's already pretty much a starter. It's just that those guys have been able to get targets.
He legitimately was on the field in 2 receiver sets week 1 as a rookie. He's gotten 7 target. Like he was hurt, or was he concussed? Maybe missed week 4.
He got a concussion.
Concussed. But then he came back and got 7 targets last week, and then before that 6 and 8 targets. So if you're getting 7-ish targets from Jonathan Mingo at 3,500, and he's like diet Debo Samuel, but that I think is the thesis of Jonathan Mingo. So I think he's
like Dollar Tree AJ Brown. That's the sure. Better comp for him.
Whatever. At 3,500, I like him. There's no reason for the one-off. Like you might because I like this game. Like I'm over the field on Mostert. I'm probably going to try and show up with a reasonable amount of Tyreek. So I like Mingo I like Mingo on the Tua teams the most, honestly, because
because his touchdowns speed the game up. His touchdowns are 36 yards where he breaks a tackle or whatever.
Yeah, and also just like from a salary perspective, it does a lot. Plus, I think people are just going to rather play downs or the Vikings guys, etc. Then you also have another Tucker field goal after that long punt return.
Oh my god!
They Duvernay literally returned it to like the 15, and I out of the corner of my eye I saw like a couple of empty backfield Lamar power sweeps into the line. Anyway,
I bet some same game parlays here with like Lamar and Hopkins overs and like Mark Andrews.
I have all the overs on Hopkins and Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Don't love that.
Yep. Jalen Waddle, once again, like we're talking about, like they might just like be able to play with their food and feed him. Plus, like Jalen Waddle at some point is going to
score a 75-yard
touchdown. Jalen Waddle, yeah. I mean, he scored last week. Granted, he only hit 35 yards. That didn't matter. But yeah, 5%. I think he's fine.
Jalen Waddle is the most middle IQ on the Jedi, the Jedi bell curve meme. He's the middle IQ play, and Tyreek is the 60 IQ and the 140 IQ play.
Yeah, 100%. Jalen Waddle is like, and I respect these guys that are so much better at this than me, but like when you tune in, like you don't even have to watch Establish the Million to know that they're gonna pump Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith in these spots every single time.
Oh, it actually is Devontae Smith week though.
Yeah. But yeah, Detroit at Tampa Bay, 42.5 total. It's Montgomery and nothing. The Sims are giving me like 40% Baker and Mike Evans. And I'm telling it to calm the fuck down. But yeah.
What if Trey Palmer is who you need in week 6 to win $1 million?
Then I'm on to week 7.
I was like pretty keen on Trey Palmer early in the week.
You're in and out of Wi-Fi, but I'm guessing you're down sad that Mike Evans is back and Trey Palmer is dead.
I'm very down sad. Yeah, sorry. I'm transitioning down to my office.
No, you're good. Any interest in Amon-Ra at 7,700 low owned? I'm not super into Detroit on the road, but
the thing to do is to set it up so that you can play one of David Montgomery or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like you set up your swaps, and if you're ahead,
this is 4 p.m.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So if you kind of have the nuts, you can play David Montgomery, and if you play Drew Ogletree in the early slate and you need a swap, you can set yourself up to play St. Brown and be like, I'm drawing live, brothers.
Yeah. I'm all over Mike Evans. Like Baker has really had a hard on for him this year. So yeah, at 7,100 and loaned, I think he's a great play. New England at Vegas, apparently the Cardi Nuts, where you want 5 guys from this game because
it's the only dome game of the week, right? I mean that's
why. We got Ritter. No, we got Ritter in the dome, and we got Houston in the dome.
That's why Kyle Pitts is in the optimal.
Yeah, exactly right. Revenge games all around for Jacoby Myers, for Jimmy G. I don't believe that the Raiders and Josh McDaniels are good enough to like hunt out revenge games. Even though the Patriots have been, very, very bad this year. Mac Jones's back is against the wall, as is Belichick's apparently. But yeah, I'm not like super into this game. Josh Jacobs' role is obviously insane, but at chalk, I'm fine to fade. And Devontae Adams is probably maybe not a gold star, but like a silver. Devontae Adams, I was just saying, I don't know if he's a gold star, but I think he's like a silver star at 800.
My Gilcast co-host Nate Nolan wants to play him in cash.
Okay, I might tune in and listen to him tilt about how he got. He was the only person in the 500 man to play Devontae Adams.
I mean, it's actually it's sort of a fascinating test case of how many people are using Cardi stuff versus how many people are using ETR stuff, because people do use Cardi stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if they filter it. I don't know if they take it as gospel or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you are using Cardi stuff, you are going to have Kyle Pitts and you are going to have Devontae Adams, and you might have Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah. I think Bourne's okay. I'm waiting to see if this ownership gets adjusted, because like we got this Mac Jones news, which is not really news. And that it's
just literally just what's happened the last 2 weeks where he's gotten benched.
Yeah. So like if Malik Cunningham comes in, that's for sure bad for Kendrick Bourne. But I do want to argue, like I'd love to see this percentage come down. And then you get Will Grier garbage time where he's trying to prove that he's worth of a job and like he has to throw the ball.
Will Grier has
a little bit.
Will Grier has played in the NFL before, and it wasn't good for his pass catchers.
Yeah. Ramondre at 5,400? No, right?
No fucking chance. I'm trying to bench Ramondre. I've got him on one high stakes team with Peter. And I'm trying to find literally any way to bench him. I'm trying to like bench him for like Tutu Atwell. I don't think I'm going to win. I think I'm going to win that one, but
no. Yeah. Speaking of Tutu Atwell, 48 total for Rams at Cardinals is the highest on the slate.
And Tutu is going to be 1% owned. And almost had 2 touchdowns last week, and he'll just weekly be in that role where he's going to get 5 targets, but some weeks, 2 times a year, he's going to catch a 70-yard touchdown, and then every other time he's going to be a bad play.
Would you have believed me if I told you that Tutu Atwell through 5 weeks was averaging 14 points per game, and that he had a game with a touchdown and only 9 yards? I would have
believed. I would have believed all of that, because the thesis for Tutu was always that he's not a normal NFL wide receiver, that you can't just go be like, you got to go be AJ Brown. It's like Tutu Atwell is like if McCole Hardman was good and understood blocking and routes running and like could just be trusted. If Tutu Atwell was on the Kansas City Chiefs, he would be Tyreek Hill.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I think it's more likely he'd be like McCole Hardman, but I sort of mean that as a compliment, but
I kind of mean it as a compliment too.
Yeah. Cooper Kupp is fine. Infamously has not ever scored more than 40.6 points.
He's never scored more than 46 points.
He does have 4 games of 39.8 to 40.5, but has not yet topped that illustrious 40.6. Puka, you're going to get him at 5% owned. Puka's a guy, I'm not starting any teams with Puka, but I for sure can see myself swapping onto him because he's going to have an ownership cap, and I think he's still got,
Well, the most interesting thing here is what do you do? What do you do with Kyren, who's got the 4th most points of any fantasy running back, but all the cabal just thinks he stinks. Like everyone just thinks he's bad. But 1, doesn't really matter. 2, he doesn't lose any third downs or goal lines to anyone else. Like it's just very, very hard for a guy in this role with this team total and this matchup to fail.
Yes, I agree. And also, and like maybe this is like digging too too deep, but like Ronnie Rivers projected for 4 points. Like, just give all those points to Kyron too. Like, while we're at it, like, what are we doing here? I think they played Ronnie Rivers like 2 weeks ago. And then not again last week. Hollywood, he's been pretty good this year. Not shown a ceiling yet. I don't think he will with Josh Dobbs. So I'm not eager to play Hollywood into ownership.
I mean, he had
probably neither. But
so last week he had 12 points in the first quarter, and then I don't think he got to 15. Like he got
16. He got 16.
Yeah. So it's just like you can squint and see it. The other thing I was thinking is, okay, they've had an entire week to game plan without James Conner. Like maybe they come out and they're throwing.
I think it's Rondale Moore. I'm not playing Rondale Moore. I think Rondale Moore is gonna get a couple of touches. Like that's why I don't want to play DeMarcado. A, because Ingram is in there, and B, I think Rondale Moore gets some backfield work.
Well, that's Silva's big thing, right? Is that Rondale Moore is actually a running back?
Yeah, I mean he's gotten 8 carries this year, and actually I think a handful of them were from the backfield as well. I think he broke a 30-yarder from the backfield.
Yes, that's he had a 65-yard touchdown as a rusher.
Yeah. And then Zach Ertz is again, like Zach Ertz is the guy where if you like Brick is going to show up playing Zach Ertz, you and I are not going to show up playing Zach Ertz. It makes all the sense in the world where you're playing like this game is going to lead the Cardinals to throw more than they've had to, where they've overachieved so far. Yeah, Zach Ertz correlates well, and he's going to be less owned than, this has 13%. Like, dude, nobody who pretends to have half a brain is going to click Zach Ertz. It's literally only the sharp people that see the price and the usage.
I don't want to play Zach Ertz.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. Last game on the slate, Eagles are at the Jets, 42.5. Nobody here is owned.
This is such a jam spot. Yeah. Hurts, Swift, Brown, Smith, probably not Goddard, Brees, Wilson. I mean, this is like, you don't even really have to sell yourself that hard. The Jets have all these defensive injuries. The Eagles score against everybody anyways. Like, it doesn't even matter. Jalen Hurts is the only elite quarterback for fantasy sports on the slate, and no one wants to play him. People are falling over themselves to play Matt Stafford and Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. Like, it's not going to be hindsight to say, oh, maybe I should have played more Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith. Like, it just feels easy.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts just like blows your mind in how he scores fantasy points. So the Eagles only, quote unquote, only scored 23 last week. He only threw 1 touchdown. He only ran 1 in, and he scored 31 points. So like
he just does it.
He gets like Jalen Hurts is going to have like a 4 touchdown game where 2 are rushing, and it's just like you're absolutely dead. Like he's the only guy, maybe Tua and Fields, that can like absolutely bury you at quarterback.
I would agree. I think those 2 guys can dead you.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the games. My gold star fuck around find out is Jonathan Mingo. I think Davis gave JSN/Ken Walker. Anything else you want to add for the people on the way out?
This is the Devonta Smith. It was Dallas Goedert's time last week. It was AJ Brown the week before. We literally saw they threw the ball to get Dallas Goedert 4 times on their first drive last week. They're doing that with Devonta. Like, first play from line of scrimmage is going to either be a play action deep shot to Devonta or a wide receiver screen to Devonta Smith, and you're going to know immediately. Yep. That's what I got.
I'm here for it as long as he gets under 4.5 catches and over 125 yards. I'll be very happy.
I only have one thread the needle under 2.5 over 90 for Rashid Shaheed. So I need an 87-yard touchdown and a 15-yard catch for Shaheed. That's my number 1 rooting interest today.
Yeah. Good luck with that. All right. Thanks for coming by. Thanks everyone for watching. Go watch some more professional people tell you what to do. But yeah, let's see if this Ravens drive ends in a field goal.
For sure ends in a field goal. So fucking annoying. All right. Later, dudes.